Well, nothing beyond simple truths. One thing is that Mother Nature doesn't hand your answers to you on a silver platter. You got to work to find them. And that kind of work requires creative imagination, hard work, greatest genius, Einstein's not going to come easy, integrity, and a critical mind. You can't question everything, but you ought to have a slight question about everything. And sometimes that slight question is worth pursuing. Now, when you turn from the sciences to the study of human affairs, it's in a sense easier, in a sense harder. It's easier in the sense that it's much more, what can be understood is much more superficial. So in the study of history, say, or sociology, you don't get principles of even remotely the depth that you find in studying the natural sciences. From another point of view, it's harder. Mother Nature does not give the answers on a silver platter, but she doesn't set up obstacles either. In human affairs, there's plenty of obstacles set up. Doctrinal systems are putting up obstacles to understanding what's going on. Education, in many ways, is creating doctrinal frameworks which shape your thinking and impose barriers to understanding. And it's pretty systematic.
Whenever we look at any complex system, I think we begin to think about, are there things we can do to tame the complexity so we can understand how a system works and have some faith in it? And there certainly are, and we've learned that over time. I mean, if you think about the number of lines of code in Microsoft Windows, in excess of 1 million lines of code, the fact that it works at all is astonishing. It is astonishing. And we've built things of tremendous complexity. Now, obviously, we've learned some organizational principles. We've learned about abstraction as a way of doing something, so we can create something that performs in some way, whether it be a physical object or a piece of computer software. We can encapsulate it and say, this piece of software performs this, and you can now use it as a tool. And if you think about Excel, it's a tool. It's a tool to help people who need to keep track of things, build spreadsheets, and they use it as a tool in that way. And so we built a level of abstraction that makes it easier for them to do something at a higher level. Hierarchy is another way in which we think about simplifying things by using a hierarchical structure. But I think the other amazing thing is humans have been able to construct systems that no one person really understands how the whole thing works. And yet, it works, more or less. May not always work perfectly, but it works. And so we've been able to use our collective intelligence to construct something that's extremely complicated and can achieve a level of functionality that's truly remarkable. And that's a real tribute to the power of the human brain, and I think our ability to integrate, the ability to communicate with one another, and to grasp things whose overall complexity is simply amazing. When I look today at the complexity of the computer hardware we build or the software we make, if you told me 30 years ago when I was a young faculty member starting that we're going to be building things of this complexity, I would have said, well, you may try, but they won't work because they'll be too complex. They'll be beyond our skills to really know that that software is going to work properly without crashing all the time, or that hardware will actually ever work. But we've managed to do it, which is an amazing testimony to our ability to master things of incredible complexity.
I think that around 17th century, humankind got the sense that it stands above nature and it can bend nature to its will. And it unleashed an enormous energy and scientific inquiry and discovery. But we've now come full circle. We are at the end of that cycle where we stood above nature. We now at last are at a point where we realize, hey, we are part of it, and that we can go on and we can destroy ourselves and nature in its entirety, or we can develop it a step further. So, yes, there is progress, But I'm just simply cautioning that do not define progress, however you see it, as an automatic outcome. It's a very fine, non-deterministic, and yet it says we ought to see ourselves in nature and such a humble part of nature, because we are only now beginning to understand that.